Hey, welcome back to another episode of Talking Cardboard. As you can tell, we've got the usual crew here. John, myself, Brian, Corey, and Kaylor. This time we are reviewing a fun little tile game called Azul. Corey, start out by explaining this game.
Yeah, so in Azul, it's a 2 to 4 player game, tile placement game. And you've got these different market tiles in the center of the board. Each turn it's very simple. You can either take tiles from one of the market zones, or you can take all the tiles from the center of the board. And how that works is you start off by choosing one of the markets. It starts off with 4 tiles on it. And you can take all the tiles from one color off that market and place it on your board. The rest of the tiles go to the center of the table for future turns. As that builds in the center, as the tiles build, it gets more and more appealing to future players. But as tiles get placed on the left-hand side of the board, as you fill up the rows, as soon as it gets completely filled, you can take one of those tiles and place it on the opposite side of your board to score points in various ways. And that's pretty much the gist of it. You kind of you go back and forth choosing different tiles around the table, refilling the markets as you go, and you're trying to basically combo off the different tiles that you place on your board throughout the game. There's some endgame scoring points based on how well you do in that too.
So basically, when you're trying to score points, you're lining things up like in Quirkle or other, like Bingo or Connect 4, where however many you have sequentially in a row or a column, you're scoring more points for. So each round, you want to try to combo off of that to be scoring as much points as possible. And the points can really rack up, either positive or negative. A lot of fluctuation going on with this game, and it is brightly colored. It's really fun to look at, fun to play. Kaylor, what are some of your pros for this?
It's really a quick game to play. It's easy to pick up. I really feel like it's also hard to master because you also got to play off of what your opponents are doing to really get a really good grip of this game. But it's really fun.
John, as somebody who seems to always end up on top of this game too,
like I say, I'm always playing 3D chess while you guys are playing checkers in this game. But yeah, no, this game's awesome. I feel like it's got a unique gameplay. You can really plan out, based on what tiles have been out in the market versus what's probably going to come up. You can plan out like what you should be going for to best combo and try to anticipate what others are going to do. So I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to get into at the beginning, but then doing the meta game, like both of you guys have talked about, going deeper levels of not just setting up your turn to fill out a row, but setting up to be scoring more points or making sure you're not taking the wrong ones, so then it sets up the people after you. There's really a lot of ways that, or a lot of levels that you can negotiate through this game.
Yeah,
Corey, what do you think?
Definitely, there's multiple layers to this game. Not only from thinking for yourself, but thinking against other people too. You can set up yourself or try to set up yourself the best you can for hoping it comes back around the table to have your next best decision available for you at that time. All the way from that side of it to maybe setting up your opponents to collect negative points, because if they can't place them or fit them on their board, they have to go onto the floor section of the board and score them negative points. So you can really kind of weigh that against yourself too. Like, maybe this tile here won't help me out as much as these other ones, but if I do that, I'm setting up my next opponent around the table for maybe a huge negative turn. So that could be a part of your strategy as well.
Yeah, a lot of levels of strategy within yourself, within other players. This game is very deep for it being as simple and small as it is.
Yeah.
Kaylor, do you have a con of this game?
Really, I do not. It's really fun.
Anybody want to say something negative?
I guess the only thing I have that's maybe more of a neutral than a negative is that there are certain bonuses, like getting all 5 of one color filled in on your board is very difficult. You only get 10 points. I don't know if the game ending after completing 1 row is too soon, but curious if maybe doing 2 rows would make sense. But then again, you can also do columns, and I don't know, there's yeah, it always varies too, and how it kind of all fits together. And
I can see where you're coming from with that. That is a part of the strategy, though, I think, in the game design. kind of seeing when somebody might end the game or when you should effectively end the game. That could be a part of the strategy.
I feel like sometimes newer people might not know that if they finish out their row, they might not be paying attention that, hey, I'm 7 points behind someone else. Obviously, I wouldn't win by doing this. But, you know, they took that tile and they had nowhere else to place it, so they end up finishing that top row, and that kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems lackluster sometimes to me, but for the most part, it's played out for some good games. So.
Yeah. And one downside I noticed, probably the only one, is when it's a 4-person game, you get into a set pattern on what the first 2 players do. So it's typically the third player that bites the bullet and takes everything in the center to be the first player the next round and get the most tiles for their first time through. It was like clockwork the last couple of games we've played, where first person takes the most advantageous group, second one takes the second, and then the third one gets the fat tiles in the middle.
Right.
So then we just knew how that pattern was going to go. And it seemed a little predictable in that respect, but then after that the game did very right away. So it evened out, but I know in one of the games John and I passed back the first player token almost the entire time.
Yeah. And I definitely don't think that could be a con. Like you said, that's more of a neutral, and that's more in the meta game side of it again. Depending on who you play with or how many times they've played or how good or bad the player is, it'll vary on who takes what and why. We're not necessarily saying we're the best at the game. We're not saying we're the worst players at this game. So, I mean, maybe what we were doing isn't the most effective strategy. Maybe it is. We don't really know. But that is a part of the metagame because we haven't really branched too far out. I branched a little bit out with playing against other people. But for the most part, we've played this a lot with ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, Kayla, what do you think the replayability is of this game?
I definitely give it a high replayability. Like I said, it's easy to learn, hard to master. So there's a lot of aspects in this game that I feel like
that's usually a good combo.
Yeah.
Easy to learn, hard to master. Yep.
Well, and I feel with this game as opposed to others, this one seems a lot easier or more optimistic to master it.
Yeah.
That there's some others where even if the replayability is pretty high or medium, like we've reviewed before, it's difficult to feel like you could master it. But I feel I've got optimism being able or thinking I can master this game.
Right.
Yeah, so I keep wanting to play it and find new little algorithms or intricacies so I can beat you guys. Yeah, and
Be
then
nice to have some competition.
yes.
Yep.
From time to time.
Yes.
Or better, how to play not only aggressively or offensively, but possibly get better at playing defensively.
Yeah.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Preventing people's potential big moves. So.
Yeah, or
Right.
telling other people not to give the game away to somebody.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He
not-
was just playing into my traps. That's
Yeah.
all. It didn't matter what he did. I would have done. It wouldn't have mattered. I was prepared for all
John slipped him a
inevitabilities.
10 under the table.
Yeah.
Paid for his Taco Bell.
So we can tell both ends in terms of the depth or the weight of the game. Some people may think it's very on the light end if you're playing in the shallow end of the pool. But for those people who actually know how to swim, the game is pretty deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you guys disagree?
Are you giving John a compliment right now?
I'm just saying he's in the deep end.
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah. Thematic intensity, John? Is there any real
Ask me this
theme?
question.
I can answer it for you.
No.
There's no thing.
No, no.
Just a game.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
I
thing.
don't know.
Yeah. No.
So that makes it really approachable for people
Yeah.
who aren't gamers or themed. Yeah, you got these pattern tiles.
It's very pretty for not having a theme.
Oh, yeah.
It is a very nice looking game. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Heavy tiles, very
Yeah.
thick, nice quality.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cardboard's nice quality too.
Yeah.
Minus the red and blue tiles.
Yeah, they did kind of give up on those.
That's all right.
They
2 out
look
of
like,
5. Eh.
look like Starburst, so be careful around children or the elderly or people who eat before they think. Speaking of eating before you think, Kaylor, what do you think of the luck versus skill on this?
I definitely, more talking about it, I feel like it's a mid to mid high, just because, you really need to play off
On
each
what, the
other.
luck or the skill?
No, well,
You
really
think it's more skill or
well, more skill, really.
Oh, okay.
The more you play it, the more when you first start, luck on base of what you get to choose out of the piles, but then it's more skill by playing off of what everybody else is doing.
You can mitigate that luck factor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, by choosing or playing the round before, so you get to go first.
Or by making sure you pick the seat next to Kaylor.
Yes, if you are right after Kaylor,
Very
you are in
strategic.
good shape.
That plays into the skill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bribery, possibly.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna rail on you on this one. Sorry, Taylor.
Praying on the weak. So, teachability. Corey, I'll give this one to you. What about teachability for this game?
I think it's a fairly easy game to teach. I haven't had any issues with anybody learning the game. The concept of having to fill your rows before you're allowed to place it on the other side of the board is a little bit wonky at first for people because they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing on the left-hand side of the board. But other than that, it's very simple to explain.
Yeah, completely agree. It's easy threshold to get into learning-wise, and then we can tell there are more layers getting into it.
Yep.
I think we're at that point where we can do our rating 1 to 10. Kayla, what do you think? 1 out of 10.
I give it a 7. Really fun game, really easy.
Okay.
Definitely pick it up.
Corey?
I'm at a 9 out of 10. I'm at a real high rating. I love this game for not only its simplicity, but like you said, easy to learn, hard to master, and I love that in a game, especially in a game without theme.
Yeah, and I guess I would agree. I would go about a 9 out of 10 because if this is something that could get people in who aren't really gamers, who aren't as in-depth as we are, say some of our family members, for example, who we want to play games with, but we don't want to intimidate them or turn them off to high-theme games, this is a great one. I definitely want to bring this home to my wife and my family and teach them how to play, because we're game-oriented, but they're also skittish of trying new things.
Right.
So John, what's your rating on it?
Right now I have it about an 8. I really like this game, and it's one I definitely recommend to friends or bring to game night with coworkers or something like that.
Yeah.
No, really fun. I think I just a little tired of winning all the time, but you know what?
But you know, that plays into the meta game. You
Yeah,
just
right,
find some more better competition.
Good self-esteem booster for John, and we all know you need it.
Probably.
Yeah. So this is one of our highest recommended games so far, Azul. It is fast, it is fun, it's good to look at, so none of the qualities that we have. And on that note, you don't need a parachute in order to go skydiving. You just need a parachute to go skydiving twice.